Hey everyone, welcome back to Mystifying Miracles. I've got a cool story for you today. Any newbies out there, I search out true stories that involve miracles. So listen along and maybe you'll find it interesting. So to begin with, we all know that in 2024, Hurricane Helene barreled through the Western Appalachian area. It wreaked havoc and left devastation behind. As of the time of this story not too long ago, there had been 104 deaths, and of course, it ruined numerous residential areas and infrastructures. But despite all of the destruction, there are little stories beginning to emerge, and these stories describe various little miracles that have happened. This story that I'll be going over is one such story. In Burnsville, North Carolina, there was a woman by the name of Nan Collins. Her first name was Camille, but she went by Nan. And she had moved into the Burnsville area to be closer to her sons. So she got on their property, she got herself a little RV, and she set it up. Now, this occurred about 4 months prior to Helene hitting. So her and her sons, they set their RVs up by the little river. And eventually they were working on building homes on their farms on higher ground. But of course, in the meantime, they would live in their RVs on the son's property. Now, Nan's family loved Burnsville, North Carolina. Just beautiful atmosphere, scenery, the open air. I mean, they were excited for this. And the reason being they set their RVs up in this area by the little river, historically, this area did not have floods or flooding issues, so they saw no problem with setting up in this area. But of course, they didn't foresee Hurricane Helene and the destruction that it would bring. Now, back up a couple of months prior to it hitting, Nan and her husband David adopted a cat. They named it Blanco. You see, in June of 2024, they found a stray cat. It was white, and they found it just laying in a compost bin. Well, they immediately took the cat in, named it Blanco, and welcomed it into their family of 8. And of course, Blanco, he settled in like he had been there all along for years. He loved living with the Collins family. In fact, Blanco had a little routine. When he woke up in the morning, he'd say hello to his family, eat, pet scratches, and then he'd go to the other RVs in the area, the neighbors, and just be a nosy cat, see what they had to offer. And that was just kind of his little morning routine. In addition, he loved going on hikes with the family, so they did that quite often. And of course, due to him visiting the neighbors every morning, they all knew who Blanco was as well. Well, September 26, 2024, obviously is the day Helene hit their area. Things got scary, and they got scary very fast because these life-threatening floods were just occurring, and they were getting out of hand like within minutes. The family just kind of watched as the river got higher and higher and higher. And I mean, this is going pretty rapid. So they decide to begin to grab up some of their valuables and try to get them into their vehicles as this is occurring. And as they're doing this, they actually see one of their neighbors' houses, one of their RVs, start to float by because apparently the water was 20 feet above where it should be, and that was due to a broken levee. Well, as the water is still rising higher and higher, it begins to take the Collins family camper, and it slowly starts to move. And as that's happening, they see their cat Blanco jump to the top of their camper. And they're watching this as the cat's hopping up top, and it's starting to be taken away with the water. So Jonathan, Nan's son, begins to run towards that area. So as he's running towards the cat in their camper that's being taken away, he is stopped dead in his tracks, and that is due to some downed power lines falling just about 15 feet in front of him. He wasn't able to proceed to try to help or do anything, and so the Collins family was left just staring as their home, their pet cat, is being carried away, and you can imagine the despair and just their hearts just sinking, not being able to do anything to help. Meanwhile, the water is still getting higher, so they quickly get to work gathering up the last few things they think they can do, and they drive to higher ground. Now, because of the floodwaters damaging pretty much all the streets and downing several power lines, the family had to sleep in their cars for 4 nights. However, 8 days pass, and guess what? A miracle occurs. Jonathan, the son, goes back to their property 8 days later because he's going to look through all the debris, see if anything's salvageable. And in doing so, as he's going through all the rubble and debris, he hears a meow. He ends up seeing a white cat not too far off, but as the cat notices Jonathan, I guess it gets frightened or scared, and it takes off in the opposite direction. Well, Jonathan tells Nan, his mom, about this, so she grabs some cat food, and her and the rest of the family go out searching for their cat for over an hour. Eventually, though, the cat did come back shortly thereafter, and they found him returning to the top of one of their old barns. It was like a wrecked roof. It had been destroyed by the floods, and the cat kind of just hopped up on top of the roof. Nan slowly approached the little cat, and she began to stroke his head. And the cat began to purr. Sure enough, it was Blanco, which, of course, they figured that it was, but they had to make sure, and it was him. Nan, as she's petting the cat, giving him some food, she begins crying tears of joy, and she knew that this was a miracle because they had seen their camper being taken away. They saw the cat go under the water, never to resurface, and here he was. They did take Blanco to the vet, which precautionary, the vet gave him antibiotics, but he didn't have any injuries. And today, Blanco is back to his old self and trying to pick up his old routine of nosying around in the neighbor's business, and just like a cat would. Story even mentioned that now Blanco even loves rubbing noses with their dog, Dora. Currently, Nan and her family, they still live in campers that were donated, but they put them on their property, and they're just trying to get back to rebuilding their homes as they were before the hurricane hit. So they're still doing that and rebuilding their farms. And Nan says, quote, "Every day, blessings from above are coming." I agree. I can't imagine the devastation. I mean, we all watched it on TV as it was occurring, and news stories. And my heart goes out to people that have lost so much and lost family and property and you name it. So this was just a cool little story that I thought was worth mentioning. And I don't think I've done one yet that had to do with an animal or a pet. So I saw that as very cute and very lovely, and I hope you guys did too. I thank you guys for watching. Just please remember to hit the like button and the subscribe if you like this kind of thing. And other than that, let me know what you think about the story. I really liked this one. I will see you guys for the next one.